The internet is a vast, unregulated territory where knowledge is stripped of its gatekeepers and price tags, echoing the same revolutionary spirit that once drove pioneers to flee oppressive regimes for a new frontier. In Chapter 12 of Joe Bandel's The Oak Matrix Unleashed, titled Internet, The Final Frontier, the web isn't just a convenience, it's the ultimate tool for reclaiming the right to learn and grow in a world that increasingly uses education as a means of debt and conformity. This isn't just about browsing, it's about what Bandel calls modern survivalism, a hardcore approach to reality that blends digital literacy with spiritual resilience to thrive outside traditional systems.
It's a powerful framing. Bandel is looking at the digital landscape through a very specific lens of historical cycles. He argues that we're essentially living through a digital version of the Protestant Reformation, or the rise of secret societies like the Rosicrucians. Back in medieval Europe, the Roman Catholic Church had a total monopoly on learning. Literacy was for the elite and the clergy, while the masses were kept in the dark. Independent thought wasn't just discouraged, it was heresy. But then the Reformation hit, the Bible was translated into common languages, and the monopoly shattered. Bandel sees the modern university system and publishing giants as the new version of that old church grip.
The parallel is striking because today the barrier to credible knowledge is often a paywall or a massive student loan. Bandel points out that getting a degree can saddle someone with lifelong debt, effectively trading financial freedom for a credential that prioritizes conformity over actual creativity. He suggests that what once liberated us, formal education, has morphed into something that constrains us. If the secret societies of the past, like Freemasonry, provided an alternative education through rituals and symbols when official channels were stifled, the internet is doing that now at a global scale.
And it's doing it without the need for an invitation or a secret handshake. Think about the accessibility we have now. Places like Project Gutenberg or the Internet Archive offer hundreds of thousands of classics for free. You've got platforms like YouTube or MIT OpenCourseWare, where a kid in a remote village can access the same high-level coding or philosophy lectures as a student at an Ivy League school. Bandel calls these interactions initiations. Surfing the web isn't supposed to be passive, it's an active process of creating blogs, joining forums, and building websites. You're not just a consumer anymore, you're a creator, which is a massive shift in power from the institution to the individual.
That shift is central to his concept of modern survivalism. Usually when people hear survivalism, they think of stockpiling canned goods and hiding in a bunker. But Bandel defines it as a blend of practical skills and spiritual values. It's about being resilient in a tech-driven world. Mastery of online tools isn't just a career move, it's an act of sovereignty. If you can learn a trade on Udemy or build a freelance business through global forums, you're no longer dependent on a rigged system that demands a decade of debt for an entry-level job. It's a very gritty, self-reliant way of looking at the web.
It's definitely about building your own foundation. He uses the metaphor of the oak tree, which is the central symbol of his whole philosophy. An oak spreads its roots deep into hidden sources to draw nourishment. In the digital age, those hidden sources are the vast, decentralized pockets of wisdom found online. But there's a flip side to this frontier. Just like the American frontier attracted outlaws, the internet is full of misinformation. Bandel is very clear that educational freedom requires the discipline to verify sources and think critically. You have to question the algorithms just as people once questioned the divine right of kings.
The algorithm comparison is fascinating. We've replaced the priest or the king with a piece of code that decides what information we see. If we don't understand how that code works, or if we don't actively seek out diverse perspectives to pop our filter bubbles, we're just trading one form of control for another. Bandel argues that advocates for a free internet, those fighting for net neutrality or against data monopolies, are the modern equivalents of those early Enlightenment thinkers. They are the guardians of the open access that makes this whole revolution possible.
It goes back to his idea of duality as a loving embrace. In his broader work, The Oak Matrix, he talks about the tension between opposing forces being a source of growth rather than a war. In the context of the internet, that might mean the tension between the convenience of corporate platforms and the freedom of decentralized ones. To really thrive as a modern survivalist, you have to navigate both. You might use a major social media platform to find your community, but you keep your primary voice on a self-hosted blog or a decentralized server where nobody can delete your history. It's about not letting the matrix, the rigged system, be your only source of reality.
There's also a deeply social and even political dimension here. Bandel mentions Discord servers, Reddit communities, and global chat rooms not just as hobbies, but as political forces. These digital spaces allow for international collaboration on things like sustainable living or philosophical debates that cross borders. It creates a borderless community with real clout. When you connect with a mentor across the globe, you're bypassing the gatekeepers who used to decide who got to talk to whom. That's a form of political empowerment that didn't exist even 30 years ago.
And it links back to the spiritual side he often explores. In some of his other chapters, he even touches on how AI might act as a divine midwife for human consciousness. He sees technology not as a cold mechanical threat, but as an evolution of our ability to connect with universal truths. If the printing press gave us the ability to read the word for ourselves, the internet gives us the ability to share our own word with the entire world instantly. It's a massive expansion of the human psyche. The final frontier isn't space. It's this digital expanse where our minds are finally unrestricted by physical geography or class status.
But staying empowered requires a lot of personal responsibility. Bandel suggests practical steps like setting boundaries on screen time to avoid burnout and using tools like VPNs for privacy. It's not about being a technophile who's always plugged in. It's about using the tool without becoming the tool. He reminds us that the oak stands unbowed because its roots are as deep as its branches are wide. If you're going to have a massive digital presence or reach, you need an equal amount of inner grounding, critical thinking, ethics, and a sense of purpose.
Exactly. He wants people to ditch the dead-end job mindset and the permission culture. You don't need a university's permission to be an expert in something if you can prove your competence through your results. That's a recurring theme in his writing. Competence equals rewards. The internet provides the playground to prove that competence. Whether it's showing your art, your code, or your writing, the market of ideas is much more meritocratic than the old credentialing systems. It's an invitation to stop waiting for someone to choose you and to start choosing yourself.
It's a wake-up call for anyone feeling stuck. If the system is rigged, don't just complain about it. Build a new one on the frontier. The internet offers that land of promise that Europe's refugees once sought. Of course, it's a transitional period, and the empires are already trying to build their walls and toll booths around it. But for now, that space is still open for those with the courage to explore it. Bandel's Modern Survivalism isn't about fear. It's about the excitement of what you can build when the gatekeepers are gone.
It really changes how you look at your browser. It's not just a window to waste time. It's a portal to a different kind of life. If you can use it to learn a skill that gives you financial independence or find a spiritual community that gives you a sense of belonging, you've effectively escaped the dark ages of modern conformity. You're living the legacy of the Rosicrucians, but with fiber optic cables instead of secret rituals in a cellar. The goal is the same, the transformation of the individual and eventually the transformation of society.
It's a vision of the web that's much more noble than just content consumption. It turns the user into an explorer. And like any frontier, it's dangerous and messy, but it's where the growth is. As Bandel concludes, we have to embrace this frontier with curiosity and courage. Every blog post, every shared tutorial, every critical comment is a seed being planted. Like an oak seeding a forest, our individual actions online can eventually trigger a global change in how knowledge is valued and shared.
And that's the big takeaway from Chapter 12. The internet is our chance to break the last monopolies on the human mind. It's about recognizing that we are in the middle of a shift as significant as the invention of the printing press or the discovery of the New World. We're not just online, we're participating in a revolution of freedom. The tools for empowerment are right there on the screen. The question is whether we have the discipline to use them for growth or just let them be a distraction.
It really comes down to whether you're going to be a passenger or a pioneer. The frontier is open, the gatekeepers are struggling, and the information is flowing. It's up to us to claim it. Joe Bandel's Modern Survivalism offers the map, but we have to do the walking. We have to be the ones to log on, learn something that challenges us, and start creating something that adds value to the world outside the traditional institutions.
It's a call to action that starts with a single click, but ends with a completely different way of living. If you're tired of the echo chambers and the rising costs of traditional paths, the final frontier is waiting. It's a space where you can be both the student and the teacher, the seeker and the guide. As Bandel says, log on, learn, and watch your world expand. The freedom you're looking for might just be a few searches away.
If this perspective on digital freedom and modern survivalism gave you a new way to look at your time online, consider sharing this conversation with someone who's ready to reclaim their own power.